Hello, DevOps people. I'm Jochen, and today I'm going to work a bit on a few GitHub issues that have accumulated in our Chef cookbooks repository. In particular, I'm going to focus on our load balancer cookbook. It configures Nginx to receive incoming web requests and route them to the hosting clusters they are meant for. And end of last year, we found a few minor issues that we documented in GitHub, and it's time to get them resolved. Before I start, as always, if you have any questions, if you have any feedback, post it to the chat and I'll do everything I can to answer. And if there's something in particular that you're interested in that I didn't explain or that doesn't seem right to you, just let me know and we'll work it out. So, let's start with this issue, configuration file syntax in attributes. So what did we do here? We have a number of chef node attributes that we use to make configuration more dynamic. And it appears that the thought behind these attribute was, okay, we have the SSL protocols setting in the Nginx configuration. So let's use SSL protocols in the attribute name and then use everything that comes behind that keyword and use that as the attribute value. However, what happened was that everything else did include the trailing semicolon, which is part of the Nginx configuration file syntax and not really part of the value that we are using here. And this minor oversight forced us to end all our attribute values here with a semicolon. And it doesn't really make sense. It's not very clean, and it's an easy way to get errors in there. So I'll go ahead and fix this and make the semicolon part of the configuration file template and take it out of these values. And I'll also have to build in some backwards compatibility so that we don't have to change all the existing chef roles and wherever we are using these attributes in. Let's start, as always, by creating a new branch. Git checkout, issue number semicolon, and let's take a look at our templates. Here we have a loop that goes over all our hosting clusters and configures the sites that are necessary. And somewhere in there, if the SSL termination flag is set in the data bag items that control the setup of each cluster, there is an SSL configuration. And here as you can see, here's some static configuration, and it all ends with a semicolon. But here with SSL protocols and SSL ciphers, we don't have that. So the first approach would be to simply say, okay, we don't expect the semicolon to be part of the attribute value, so let's make it part of the template file. However, this has consequences, and let's think about them. Here we have a conditional that either uses the SSL protocols value that's defined for the whole hosting cluster, or if that doesn't exist, we'll use a default value that's stored in the node attributes under load balancer SSL protocols. And we probably should remove any semicolon that is in there to either not break the configuration file or have a clean configuration file that hasn't two consecutive semicolons in it. Now, I'm not sure how to do this in a clean way, because this line is long enough as it is, and adding two gsup calls to remove any trailing semicolon from the value itself won't make it any shorter. So I guess I'll actually add a Ruby block here that uses these values here, and then removes a trailing semicolon so that we can simply insert the resulting value here. Let's do the same with the ciphers. I'm not too happy having Ruby code in a template. However, these configurations are generated in a loop, so it wouldn't be easy to do some kind of pre-processing in the chef recipe and pass the results into the template. I think this is actually the best solution here, even if it's not too pretty. Okay. I'm not even sure if we have a test suite for this cookbook, because it's one of our oldest. Yeah, not much of testing existing here. And out of the blue, I don't have a good idea which tests to implement here. So let's simply do a chef run and see what happens and see the resulting config file. I might get some inspiration from there. So let's see, does kitchen list actually work? Oh, it does. That's brilliant. So let's converge this suite. In the meanwhile, hey you viewers out there, how you doing? Come on. There has been talk on the team about replacing the machine I'm currently working on with a more powerful one and seeing how slowly this goes. I guess I'm all for it. Here we go. Nginx gets installed. And installed. There is some monitoring setup, since these machines are pretty essential for our operations. They receive all the incoming HTTP requests. We need a bit of monitoring here, and since Sensu is our main monitoring system, it installs the Sensu client and a few plugins that we need. You know what? I'm going to run a bit of music in the background. If you don't like the music, just let me know in the chat. I have to keep myself from doing the things that I normally do while I'm waiting for something to complete, like reading my personal email and things like that. This takes quite a bit of discipline, and I'm very thankful that you bear with me. Fortunately, this is just the first convert run, and subsequent ones will be much quicker. Here we go, we are almost at the end of the Chef client run because it's already starting and restarting services. Breaks. So let's see why it does. Oops. Can't restart the Sensu client. That's strange and only a side effect. Let's try one more time. So here we have the starting of the Sensu client. also fails. Let's see why. Okay. Fail. We don't have a private key. Okay, Sensu is trying to set the client up with SSL encryption, and since we don't provide it with the proper certificates, it breaks. That is normally solved by configuring Sensu to not use SSL. But that's apparently missing from our kitchen setup. So let's go and add this. Let me just take a quick look how to do this. My terminal is a bit slow today. Okay. Sorry. So it's use SSL false. Good. That should do the trick. This is looking much better. And so let's take a look at the resulting load balancer configuration. No less command in the here we go. And the lines are correct with only a single semicolon, even though I assume we have semicolons still in the default attributes. So my backwards compatibility fix seems to be working. Let's take a look at the stuff we have here. How is this set up? Let's take a look at the attributes. Yeah, the attributes still had the semicolon in there. Which we can remove now. And we can be sure that even if in our existing roles and other places there are semicolons, they'll be removed successfully. And we don't get a double semicolon at the end. I don't know if Nginx actually would mind if there are two semicolons, but we can avoid this anyway and have a clean, non-confusing config file. You know what? We could run a test on the config file itself. Describe file etc nginx sites available load balancer. It's content, so we are running server spec here, not yet in spec. Let's take a look at server spec resource definitions. How do I tell it what I want? Contain, you can use its content. Should not match two semicolons in a row. Well, I guess two semicolons in general. So let's see if verify succeeds. It does, but it does not execute any tests anyway. Why doesn't it? We have test integration. Default. The suite is named default. But I guess we have verifier in spec. Well, why not convert it to in spec while we are still at it? Doesn't make much of a difference in this case anyway. So we'll simply move everything up and use the default stuff. Okay, yeah, let's do this. But first, let's commit what we have. Now we'll move the tests. A level higher. And we'll probably have to update test setup. Not sure if this is already valid inspec syntax, and I'm willing to try. After all, you can save several minutes of research by just trying for half an hour. Well. That was easy. Nginx is installed, content does not match to subsequent semicolons, and we should probably check that Nginx is running as well. Which should be easy to check by using the process resource, I guess. Processes. Okay, but that might be a side effect. Hey Marcus, somehow my own chat didn't get updated, and I just saw that you wrote "it is," and I don't know what you refer to. So, if that's still relevant, just let me know. Oh, I think I know what I did wrong. Okay. So this process thing is some issue with inspec that we already solved elsewhere. I'm not sure what it was. You need some kind of either a higher inspec version or some kind of additional package that needs to be installed, like PS tools or something like that. Yeah, it uses PSAXO. Which should work. Let's see if it does. Okay. Format specification. Oh, okay. Just didn't have the full command. Okay. Looks like it works. Looks like there is still a chat issue. Why don't I? But I think, yeah, let's get back to the matter at hand. Yeah, I apologize for the chat being slow. Don't know why, because Twitch chat normally works quite well, but something seems to be off today. Oh, the chat you see in the stream might be slower, but I should see it right in my Twitch chat. No, I did see that your last message. Okay, so simply try again. If you've written me something that is still relevant, just copy and paste it back in, and looks like it's working now. Okay, so why does this fail? Does the log actually show something? Here's the code. Here's the relevant part. Nginx should exist. Taken right from the documentation. The service resource. To see if it's enabled. Is there? Oh, should be running. Okay, yeah, I'll take it. It should be installed. It should be enabled. And it should be running. Three birds with one stone. If it works. And it does! Yay! I think we're good. Okay. I guess that's it. And I'll not rebase these two, push these two commits because they are meant to be separate. So that's that. We're clean. Let's go back to master and take a look at the second issue I wanted to tackle, which is the DH param file gets taken out of the static cookbook files. So it's identical on all our machines, which should not be the case. And we should rather generate it dynamically on each machine. Which should also be easy. So let's do another branch. 929 DH param. Relaunch the editor. This time we're going to change the recipe itself, and we'll probably want to run this at the start. However, should our application cookbook actually have to do this, because it's such a basic thing? And I'd expect the Nginx cookbook that we are using to take care of this. So let's take a look. We might just have an older cookbook version, or we might not even be aware that there is something like this. So let's search for th param. Nope. Well, that's disappointing. Is there an issue about it? Nope. Lots of module stuff. Not much in terms of SSL. Well, does it get set? I'm still a bit confused, because that should be taken care somewhere else. Why not buy the package itself? Oh, it's in Etsy SSL. So it's not an Nginx specific thing. I wonder if this is actually an issue of this cookbook. If the cookbook writes it, it is probably. And maybe it should just not be touched by the cookbook. Let's see, dh param pem. Should be a bit more generous with my vowels. So there are lots of references about configuring Nginx. That recommend running this. So what happens if I actually execute this? Open SSL DH param. I'll not use the out. So just say 1496. Generates that stuff. No shit, this is going to take a long time. Must not read personal email. I'll go and look. Yeah. I really should get some faster CPUs in here. You know, people, I'm embarrassing myself here live on stream, so someone needs to get fired for this. Don't tell me that each dot is a bit. We don't. So if I'm going to take care of this file in the cookbook, I really need to make sure that this file is only created once. And that's why I actually ran the command, because I'd like to see if the file itself has some indication that it's a 4096-bit key. And it might not actually be a CPU issue, because it might simply be that entropy on the server isn't high enough. So go and run some stuff. Marcus, can't you write a few discourse posts to keep the machine busy? This is one of the things that never happen in hacker movies. Let me just create a new key, and then you spend 5 minutes watching dots appear on the screen. You're doing tests there. Well, stop. You're taking all the CPU. Oh dear. Let me try something off screen. I'll be right back. As I thought. I won't be able to tell anything from the file itself. I assume the file gets written by some kind of SSL package, maybe the OpenSSL package, but it might be with a weaker key, with a weaker bit count, and I won't be able to tell in the recipe if the file is already of the quality we like or if it needs to be replaced. I guess I'll leave this issue as it is at the moment, because I don't have a proper plan to deal with this. We can't go and create a new dhparam file every time Chef runs, but we can't simply create the file only if it doesn't exist, because it will exist, but probably in lower quality. So I guess I'll leave that as an unsolved issue for the time being and simply add a comment. Okay. So there was this additional issue that I wanted to tackle, and that is in our MySQL cookbook. I guess I bought this here. I don't have any changes now, so I can switch back to master. I can delete git branch -d 29 and I'll go to our MySQL cookbook, which is a fork from the open source MySQL cookbook that we did many years ago. And there's a problem that there is a setting InnoDB large prefix that can be switched on and off, and the syntax has changed. In MySQL up to 5.5, to enable this setting, you need to use the value 1, and from 5.6 on, it is actually on. So let's take a look at this Stack Overflow question that confirms that. Yeah, it's on and off from 5.6 on, and until 5.6, so before 5.6 it has to be 1. And that's easy to fix, I guess. Let's take a look where this is actually done. We have several templates for several operating systems, and in this template, in the default template, there is the InnoDB large prefix, and it simply uses the node attribute, MySQL tunable InnoDB large prefix. Let's take a look at the attributes file. And look for large prefix. It is set to off. According to this comment, we could simply use 1 in every version, which isn't too intuitive if we are using off for disabling the feature. So let's see, in MySQL 5.5, large prefix is defined as Boolean, and default is off. In 5.6, large prefix is defined as Boolean and off. So it's just generally a difference in how Booleans work. Well, we could do something like this. So if InnoDB large prefix is set to on, which will only work in MySQL 5.6 onwards, we'll basically replace it with a 1, which will work in every version. And if it's not set to on, we'll simply use the value that is in the node attribute, which is hopefully something that is valid. But with that, we actually get a configuration that will work with on, with 1, and with off, without requiring any further changes. And let's see, do we have any? Do we have any tests for this? No, we don't. So let's at least run a converge. Oh, we don't have any test suite for it either. So that needs to be dealt with in a different issue. Because I won't start and build a whole test suite now. Converge times would be just too long to run on live stream. But this is something we need to tackle, maybe next time. Let's simply save what I did. Which is issue 101. DB large prefix. Shouldn't have any side effects. Okay. I guess I'll call it a day. And if there is anything you'd like to know, simply post something to the chat. You can reach me on Twitter or via email. And thanks for watching. See you next time. Cheers.